joy to have with us Miss Sophia Blake. It has been a great chance for me to connect with her. And later on, you'll discover why it's so exciting because we go way back even before you could imagine. So, Miss Blake, how are you doing?
How are you, Mr. Dunkley? I'm doing fine, thank you.
Wonderful. We are delighted, truly delighted, and I'm personally delighted to have you on our platform. And
Thank
I just
you.
want to take the time to let you know this from the very get-go. This
Mhm.
is your evening. There's no stress, there's no pressure. We're going to relax. We're going to enjoy this time together because this is really twofold.
Mhm.
We want to celebrate every single person who has been through the hallowed walls of Russell's High School. We want to acknowledge and recognize and celebrate what they have achieved and their journey. In addition, we would like to use those graduates or those who have passed through Russell's as examples of what's possible for those students
Right.
who are coming behind us, like those
Mhm.
who are there now and those who will come later on, who will look at these videos and say, wow, this is what those who have passed through Russell's have done. Maybe I
Right.
can do the same. So those are the two major objectives that we have. So I want
Mhm.
you to feel relaxed, share what you're comfortable with, and if something comes into your mind that I did not ask and you want to share it, the privilege is yours.
Very
Okay?
good. Okay.
So
Maybe I'll talk too much.
that's okay. That's again, it is your time. So what you do with it is all good. We have an
Okay.
amazing foundation. You know, we have overseas old student associations all over, which
Right.
is fantastic. But the Brosis Foundation has a different twist to it.
Mhm.
It is trying to connect on a more personable level and trying to put a human factor in there and also bring it current. So there's
Right.
a great amount of bonding that is taking place and a lot of encouragement that we're experiencing, those of us who are actively engaged. We're
Mhm.
finding that we're having a lot of support for each other and ultimately a lot of support that is going to receive even as we speak. Within this
Right.
short history of the Brosis Foundation, quite a number of significant things have been achieved already. And we expect that this trend will continue in addition to what the Old Student Association is doing. So
Mhm.
it's not a competition, it's in
Right.
addition to. And
True.
at the
Right.
end of the day, we want Russell's to go higher and higher. So
Of
if
course.
doing something for Russell's, at the end, Russell's will be the beneficiary, and all of us
Mhm.
will be even more proud to know that it was a part of our journey. So let me take you way back. Where were
Way,
you
way back.
born? Where were you born?
Lucy,
Really, that beautiful little city, little town right there?
little town by the sea. Yes.
That 3 Mile Harbor, Perimeter Harbor, is that where you're from?
Yes,
Amazing,
it is.
amazing. I like that place. I do. I like
I actually love that place. It's
it.
not the same anymore, but yeah, that's where my heart is. Always have been.
Okay, that's why I have that picture right there. That looks like a place known as Watson Taylor
In
Park.
the park. Yes.
You know that place?
Many good memories. Many
There you
good
go.
memories.
There you go. So you were born in Lucy, so therefore you know the Noel Holmes Hospital, don't you?
Yes, I do. Very well.
Okay, excellent. And give us an idea what it was like in your early years in Jamaica prior to Russell's. What was your experience like? What do you remember to those
Oh Lord.
prior to Russell's?
What do I remember? Going to Army Chick Chick.
Ah, there are people on the platform who went to school who came from Montego Bay or from Westmoreland who might not know what that is. But I
That
know
is the elementary. This is what is it? Basic school,
preschool, really.
preschool. Yeah, preschool, basic school, but run by the Salvation Army. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes, and I lived across the common area, and I hated school because I could see my yard from the school, from my
Yeah.
classroom, and all I
Wow.
wanted to do was go home. There were a lot of times I got caught in those what do they call those, by the brook. There was these maca type bush
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I can remember at least 2 times I had to be rescued from there trying to escape school. Trying to escape. So
You
yeah,
were
but yeah, I had good I mean, Lucy was fun. It was free.
yes.
Like I
Yes.
didn't remember worrying about I mean, I didn't remember worrying about growing up. I mean, worrying about anything or getting hurt or anything. And then we left from there. It was going to Malcolm Heights
Yes. Yes.
Elementary School and
Yes.
Miss Enid.
Yes. I know that
Yes,
name.
yes. God
Yes.
rest her soul. Loved her. She kept very close eye on me because she knew my mother very
Okay.
well,
Okay.
and of course she knew my dad. So, yeah, I've I've encountered her more than once.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you, Lucy Primary, for me,
Mhm.
is near and dear to my heart. I can't remember basic school. So it is
Mhm.
possible, and I'm not sure, but my memory doesn't go prior to the infant school
Mhm.
for me.
Right.
So the younger generation had a chance to go to the basic before they
Mhm.
went to infant and then the
Right.
primary. Um, any teacher apart from Mrs. Gonzalez, Miss Enid, any other teacher that
Who do I
stands out to
remember?
you?
Oh God, who do I remember? I remember Miss Campbell.
Okay,
I know she taught.
okay,
I remember her because of maths. Math. She
okay,
scared the
okay.
crap out of me. But I remember her, and of
Yeah.
course Miss Beck, and I remember Miss Beckford. Who
Wow.
else do I
Wow.
remember? Oh my God, there's this one other teacher, and I don't remember her name. But those are the ones who kind of stand out for
Nice.
me.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Very nice. And do you,
I mean, there were other teachers, and but those remembering the back that far, those are the ones who stood out for me.
listen, I have somebody told me that students who are going to school at Malcolm Heights now, they take taxi to go there. Are you one of those
No,
who to go to school?
no, no, no.
Oh, okay.
Blasphemy. No, no. We never, what is that? Was the shortcuts
Yeah,
across Big Wheel going up the little hill?
right.
Yeah,
Roundabout, cross roundabout right there. Yes.
exactly. Yeah, I don't remember walking all the way around, maybe once or twice, but that was our shortcut. Except when it rained, then
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
there was always shortcut going and getting down off of that hill.
Okay. Okay. Then you left the Lucy Primary and went to Races.
Yes, I went to Races for. I went to Races and I left Races and came here. I think I was in the middle of my 8th grade year.
Wow. So that means you
Yeah,
did seventh grade and part of eighth grade.
8th grade. Yes,
Wow. So listen, once a Russian,
always a Russian.
always a Russian. You can't
Always a Russian.
always,
Definitely.
always, always. So
Yes.
do you remember what time frame you were at Russies? And I'm
Oh,
curious about that. I'm actually very curious about that.
you mean the year?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. I left in 80. I think I went to rest season 83 or 80. I
Okay.
think it was 83 because I
Wow.
did my full 7th grade
Great.
and
Yes.
I left November of 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Hmm.
83 to 8. If you
Yeah, I
have
think it was
remember, you would have started ninth grade then, because if you left 80,
no, then
it's
then it
84
was
you then. You went in 84
I went
because
in 84.
September.
I went in 84, did 84, left in the middle of 83. I mean 85.
So you came to Races the
Hmm.
year that I left Races.
Okay.
I left
Wow.
Races
See?
June 84. When I say left, as a teacher, not
As
as
a
a
teacher,
student.
right.
As
Hmm.
a teacher, I was there 81 to 84. I left in
Okay.
August of
Ah.
84. Yeah,
Hmm.
after six, I graded six, the exams, and then
Okay.
that was my ticket to New York.
There you go.
Yes, you came November 85.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
So you had some high school experience in Jamaica, and then you
Hmm.
came to the United States.
Right.
How prepared were you for high school from Jamaica, when you came here, how did you measure up with your classmates?
When I came here, like the things they were teaching in like, because I came, the things they were teaching like in science, in English, I already had all that.
Wow. Wow, that's it.
Like that stuff, that was something I didn't have issue with. And it's
Wow.
funny, I had a teacher, she was surprised because, you know, you're coming from Jamaica, you
Right.
know. So like yeah, I did that already, you know.
Wow.
So it was, you're like, I didn't have an issue because I was repeating basically what I already did in Jamaica. So I didn't have a problem with that.
That's interesting. I want to pause there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You are coming from a so-called third world country to a
Yep.
first world country.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, in your knowledge base, you were
Mm-hmm.
more advanced than your peers in the
Yep.
first world country. That's a contradiction.
Yeah, for whom? Yeah, for whom? You know, it's funny because I remember, oh, what was her name? Oh my God. She was, oh my God. What was her name? She's a teacher. She lived, I don't remember her name, but she lived around the bend on, if you're coming from you pass the church and you're going to Rusty's, and there's a bend, the first bend you make, and
Yes.
by the water. Miss Mitchell was her name.
Yes, 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 Miss
Yes.
Mitchell. Yes.
I remember she was the first teacher I spoke to after I went back. Went back to Jamaica, and she said to me, she goes, so how was it? You know, so how was school? And I go, you guys teach me everything I need to know to get through that particular part.
Wow.
So I didn't have issue. And she goes, and she said, yeah, we do good here. I said, and I, you know, you over the years you realize education, everybody like go to America, get an education, but you realize when you come from Jamaica,
yes,
and you come for a school like Rusty's, and you come here, you're like you're more than halfway, you know, past these children, these kids here, because you know the stuff that we teach back home, and when you come here, it's like, okay. It's funny because my oldest daughter, I wanted so badly to send her back to Jamaica to go to school when she was younger.
Yes.
The only reason why, because I had an aunt, she passed away, but she lived in St. Catherine, Portmore area.
Mm-hmm.
This was like 20 something years ago. But I've never known her not to be a teacher. But I wanted so bad to send my daughter to live with her and her daughter and my cousin, so she could get that grounded education for when she came, should have been good here.
Yes.
You know, and her dad wouldn't let me. So that's the reason why she didn't end up in school in Jamaica, actually.
You know, as I listened to you speak, and I went back to my time, I knew that Rusty's was very prominent. I mean, I remember when it was Schools Challenge time, Rusty's was rubbing shoulders with the top schools.
I remember Rusty. I mean, not to cut you off. I mean, I grew up in a household where everybody went to Rusty's. Rusty's was it.
Yes.
I didn't think, like, you didn't think of any other school because it's Rusty's. My uncle, Morgan, he they tell me stories of when he was going to Rusty's. I know I thought they were cousins, but they weren't. They're way older than me, but they were in his age group. But I thought they were my cousins. They weren't. They were sent by their parents from Kingston to board with my grandmother just so they could go to Rusty's.
Yes. Yeah, we used to have quite a few people used to come and board in Lucy to go to Rusty. You know why I pause on that is those are the heights that Rusty's has experienced.
Yes.
And we want that legacy to remain. Honestly, I am not 100% sure where we are today on that academic ladder, but I know that our history is rich.
Yes, very.
Just recently, I saw the top 10 high schools ranked in Jamaica, and I
Mhm.
saw that Manning's is in the top 10.
And
And I know that back in my days, Manning's could not walk in the cities. No, I'm not trying to take anything from Manning's, but
right.
it's interesting that a school in the West is shining along with Montego Bay High School.
Hmm.
But I don't hear Rusty's in that number. And
Not
I'm
like it used to.
like it used to.
Yeah,
And I'm saying that the fact that we were able to tells me what we're capable of.
of
And
course, definitely.
whatever we can do to lift that spirit and to
Hmm.
provide that vision, that's part of what Brosis is about. And that's what we're trying to get that vision out and bring that support structure back in where we can even start mentoring and inspiring
Right,
some of these students to dream big dreams.
of
And not only
course.
to dream, but to work hard to achieve those dreams. So
Hmm.
I'm so glad you're able to give that perspective because I didn't go to high school here. As a
Hmm.
matter of fact, when I came to America, I had already completed college in Jamaica,
Right.
but yet I had to prove myself
Well, yes,
over here. Even my
yes.
degree had to be evaluated.
Wicked. Hmm.
I had to pay for it to be evaluated.
Yep.
Well,
I
thank
have
God.
friends who I have
Yes,
I have friends and family who had to go through the same thing
yes,
because
yes.
it's Jamaica.
Right,
Like,
right.
okay, put me up against somebody from here, and we'll see what happens.
Yes,
But I know people who have to go through that. Yeah.
beautiful. So, before we go further, were you able to keep in touch with any of your schoolmates back in Jamaica? Whether
Oh
it's
yeah.
elementary school, high school, you were?
Hmm.
Wow,
I mean, I still have friends who I grew up with back
wow.
in Jamaica.
That's commendable
Hmm.
because word on the street is that some of you people who go to foreign don't even remember. I mean, I don't even understand. Do I need to translate? Or you
Yeah,
cannot
no. I was like, you know what? I was not one of those, I don't think.
Okay.
Because my friends who I was truly friends with, I
Yes.
stayed friends with. One of them, Shauna Dunkley.
Oh,
Um,
I know her.
Shauna is like my
I
sister.
know her.
Shauna and I like we're like sisters, hanging out in her yard, hanging out at Miss Gladys' shop. I mean, you
Okay.
know, um, my other friend Paula, she's from Montego Bay. We're still friends.
Nice.
You
Nice.
know, it's you see people. I mean, you don't talk to them on a regular basis, but you see them on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But
Yes.
like they know who I am. You
Beautiful.
know,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. Now,
Uh,
listen, how long you been in this country?
oh God, please, too long.
Uh,
I've been here now for the 30 plus years.
well, I can say I must commend you because I still sense the roots. That
I'm,
I can understand.
I try to hold on to that.
I can honestly I can understand everything that you're saying, and I don't have to strain to say, okay, which part of foreign you born? I don't have that issue at all. So I just want to commend you. Okay,
Well, in certain situation, everything just comes out.
there you go.
So
There you go. There you go. So you're in a certain career today.
yes.
Most people, you have had experience in other professional areas.
Mhm. Yep.
I'd like to walk with you along some of that path. You were in high
Okay.
school. You were in high school, and as you progressed through high school, what was your vision of a career while you were in high school?
Well, my plan was to always move back to Jamaica.
Okay.
I that was my plan.
Yes.
Um, was to go back home to work for Sandals. That's what I wanted to work for.
Okay. All right.
Um, so when I finished high school, I went to college and I did hotel and restaurant management.
Oh, got you.
Um, I did that and I loved it.
Okay.
Um, because I had a plan, and the plan was get as much experience here. Because I
Yes.
realized if you're experienced here and you go home, you'll get a job.
Yes.
So what I did was I went to work for Marriott,
Okay. Okay. Fancy.
and I worked for Marriott for a couple of years, and I had a detour, and I had to make some adjustments.
Yes, yes.
And my plans to go back they had to be put on hold.
Okay, okay. Yes.
And my detour took me into dentistry.
Beautiful. And let me say this to you. I have this expression that I've used, and even with my students, because I currently teach,
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, never be a prisoner to your plan.
Oh no, you have to be able to adjust and maneuver.
Yes, you have to flex, you have to adapt. As
Of course.
circumstances change, you have to be wise enough to say, okay, this is where I'm going, but maybe I might have to take a detour.
Detour.
so I can get
Exactly.
back. Some people don't get that.
Right.
They bent out of shape if their plans don't go 1, 2, 3. They are totally lost. But it's wisdom to be able to make that adjustment and reassess, reevaluate, and carve a different route. And
exactly.
amazing, amazing. So you were with Marriott, you made some change, some adjustment, and you mentioned something that you went into the medical, the dental.
I went into dentistry, actually.
Okay. Oh, that's different.
I know, it's from like here to here. Like, how did that happen? I have no idea. But
I could see what happened, from smiling with your customers to making people smile.
Exactly. See, it works. It works. I was a dental assistant for 13, 14 years, maybe.
Wow.
Dentistry it's a good career to be a dental assistant. I mean, the money depends on who you work for and where you work. The money can be very good, especially if you have experience.
Okay.
You enjoy what you do.
Yes.
I did that for a long time.
Okay.
I had I had two doctors who I worked for, and I was always lucky or blessed to have worked with good doctors.
Yes.
Because being a dental assistant for that long, you get bored. You get bored after a while if you're like you know what you're doing. You can do it with your eyes closed. Like, okay, time for something else.
Okay.
But I like surgery, so I always end up in oral surgery practice.
Okay.
So I had two doctors who offered to pay for me to go to school. But I didn't. It's not really what I wanted
to
do. I didn't see me spending the rest of my life doing that.
Okay.
Because it's, I mean, there's only so much new things you can do and learn in dentistry.
Okay.
So while I was a dental assistant, actually, I was reading Reader's Digest on my lunch break. And there's a couple articles about the nursing shortage, and this was back in 80, not the 80s. 90 in the 90s. Not
yes,
90s,
yes.
90s, the 90s. The mid to late 90s. In the 2000, it was in the 2000, because remember there's a nursing shortage, because my mom, my aunts, they're all nurses. They were talking about that, and it's funny because my mom always wanted me to be a nurse.
Oh wow!
When I was in high school, she's like, when I got out, she's like, go to nursing school. I'm like, I'm not going to nursing school because I don't like blood, and no, that's not what I want to do. So my whole thing was elsewhere. Like, I had my whole own plan. It's funny because my dad, God rest his soul, he had a plan for me.
Okay.
He passed away. I made a plan for myself. My mom had a plan. I didn't want her plan. I wanted mine. Because if my dad was alive, I couldn't rebel against his plan. I had to do what he said. Okay. So I wanted to do my thing. So I didn't want to be a nurse. It didn't interest me.
Okay.
And I was reading, and I call my mom and I'm like, you didn't tell me about nursing shortage. She goes, we talk about it, but you don't listen to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was funny because it was a 3-month series. Every month they had a continuation of the original article.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, I'm bored here, and I'm not going to dental school, so I'll try nursing. And then I remember the nurse I had with me when I had given birth to my daughter.
Yes.
And I go, I could do what she does, So I said to my mom, I'm like, hey, I'm going to nursing school. And she's like, whatever. She didn't believe me.
Yes.
And so I applied to a couple of schools. One was in New York. I think it's called Beth Israel School of Nursing. They were associated with PACE. I got a full ride there, but I didn't take it.
Wow.
Because of having my daughter and where I work to get into the city from work on a Friday, because the program was on weekends. I think it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't remember what it was, but it was great for me because then I could still work, and go to school.
Right.
But the whole thing was the commute.
Yes.
Because I live in northern New Jersey, but my job was way in northern New Jersey.
Okay.
It's like half an hour from home, especially if you hit traffic, forget it. So there was no way of me making it into the city at the time, and I wasn't leaving my job.
Okay.
So my mom said, she goes, go local. So that's what I did. I went local. I applied, took their entrance exam. I guess every nursing school has an entrance exam. And I did that. And they sent me a letter and said, you got in.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay. So I was like, oh my God. Well, you have a certain amount of days to get all this stuff done. I'm like, so I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, what am I going to do? So she's like, do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay. So I did everything, got in, and it was a big class. We had one of the biggest class. It was 100 people.
Wow. Wow.
And let's just say by the time we got to our graduation, it was only 40, I think it was 47 people.
Wow.
That was left in the class.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's rigor.
It's funny because people think, oh, nursing, nursing, it's the money, whatever. People go into it for the money or whatever. It's a steady job. It's a steady income. You can make a lot of money, but you can't go into nursing for the money. Mm-hmm. And because there's a saying, I don't use it, but there's a saying that nurses eat their young. And wow. I found out in nursing school, that's so true.
Wow.
Because I had people who I'm still friends with today who went into, they already had careers like myself. They already had degrees. And they come into nursing for, the money or whatever they were in. And like I said, a lot of them did not make it to the end because I thought, like, my whole thing with people, when I give people advice about going into nursing, I'm like, listen, do it because you want to do it. Don't do it for the money.
Yes.
And, it's going to be a fight because you have some teachers, especially old school teachers, who will, once they can poke you and if they can get to you, they keep doing it until you either fight back or you give up.
Wow.
And a lot of people gave up. And it was hard. We, my friends, whenever we had exams, they had us stand around after the exam waiting for grades.
Wow.
And it was just like, you see everybody's face just like, and it was just like nervous laughter, because I was forever laughing, because if I didn't laugh, I was going to cry.
Right.
But I learned a lot. I had some great professors. I had one professor. She tried to get me, but she couldn't because I just wouldn't let her. Like, no, you're not going to do that to me. And her and I ended up became really good friends. And I learned a lot. I'm
going to pause for a second for me. I have two things that I want to query about. One, you mentioned that after doing certain things too many times, you get bored. Yes.
Well, it was, you know what it is? It was. I think. Well, I do. It was dentistry in particular.
Oh, in particular. Okay.
Yeah, it's because you're doing the same repetitive over and over and over and over again. After you're doing it for after you've been doing the same thing for like 2 years, 3 years, and you're very good at it, you know what you're doing.
Right.
You'll get bored if you're not one of those person who, who's comfortable there. Like I'm one of those people who I don't like to get too comfortable anywhere or in certain things.
Yes.
With nursing, you can't really get comfortable.
Right.
These are people. I mean, these are literally people's lives in your hand. You can't really get comfortable. There's so much going on. There's so much changing.
Right.
There's so much learning to do
Correct.
to keep up. So you can't, nursing is not where you go to get bored at all.
And you also
Nursing,
have to
nursing
recertify.
keeps you on your toes.
You also
Yeah.
have to recertify regularly, correct?
You to keep your, once you take the boards,
Yes.
and you register with whatever state. I have like 3 states under my belt, but
Yes.
whatever you just register, you re-register every year or every 2 years.
Yes.
And you don't retest any, you don't retake a test. No.
Oh, really?
I mean, you take tests if you want to get more credentials or more letters behind your name.
Okay.
But you don't really, you just re-register, you just recertify or re-register with the state you're in every year, every 2 years.
Okay. Let me ask you, you mentioned a nurse, the one that was involved in your delivery of your first child. Is that Nurse Maxine, you said?
Yes,
Nurse Maxine? Okay. Tell me something, because I find it very inspiring that her impact on you was able to override what you ignored for so many years. It had a very significant impact on you.
Right.
It inspired you to do something that your mom dreamt for you.
Right.
Help me to get a picture of Nurse Maxine. Just paint a picture so I can see what made you stand out for you.
Okay, so it was first child. The nurses that was there, some were student nurses and some were regular nurses. I had issues during delivery. During labor. One, my blood pressure kept going up, and two, the epidural didn't work. So they kept giving me more, and I'm like, he was my regular doctor, because my regular doctor was on vacation. But this particular doctor, Dr. Shaw, he was very good. And, the student nurse would come and they would sit with you, but they didn't really do anything. They just sat there. And I'm like, okay. So I said to one of them, like, that blood pressure is really high, and it's not supposed to be that high. That much I knew.
Yes.
I'm like, the blood pressure is too high. Could you get the nurse? And she went out and she's like, oh, she's busy. And I'm like, yeah, no. So I was like, so when my doctor found, because he had to go deliver other babies, finally came back. I said to him, I said, I feel warm. I'm hot. I don't feel good. The epidural isn't working. My blood pressure is high. So he's like, he was furious. And he goes, did you tell the nurse? I said, yes. I said, I told the student nurse to tell the regular nurse, what was going on. And he was furious. And then he had ordered some tests before he had left to go to patients, and they never came, and they never did they didn't draw the blood, what they were supposed to do. And let's just say they didn't like him much after that. And it's funny because my aunt was outside. I was with my then husband, and he basically cursed them out. Everybody. And he came back and he apologized. He said, I am so sorry. He said, I'm going to get you someone, and she's going to be with you until you deliver, until you go to recovery.
Wow.
And he went out and he goes, she's coming from home. She's not here. So I have to call her. She has to give her some time. She has to come. He called her from home, and in 15, 20 minutes, she was there.
Wow.
And she didn't even have scrubs on. She was just in her regular clothes. She had like a lab coat, and she was very informative. She was very caring, compassionate. Any questions anybody had, don't worry. We're going to fix the blood pressure. We're going to do this, this. Like, she basically walked you through what I was going to go through.
Wow.
Basically.
Wow.
Without we're like, yeah, we have babies, we know. But when you're actually in the situation, in that, it's, you have worries,
Yes.
That can go wrong. And then you tend to think of all the things that can go wrong.
Right.
But she was very good. And, when I decided to go into nursing, that's where my mind went back to her.
Beautiful. Yeah. Now, how has that impacted your career as a nurse?
Well, let's just say I try not to eat my young, and I'm the patients, and there's some patients who, we love them, but compassion,
Yes, yes,
patience. You gotta
yes.
pack your patience, you gotta pack your empathy, you gotta pack your compassion whenever you go to work. And some days it's hard, some days, you don't. But you this is what I learned about me personally.
Yes.
I'm there for the patients.
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
there for the politics. I'm not there for the BS.
Yes.
The only thing you put up with that, you know, you can't really cuss them out is when the doctor decides to come at you for nothing you did, had nothing to do with you, but it wasn't even your shift, but at the moment you're standing in front of him, and they tend to go off on the nurses. You kind of learn to compartmentalize and, like, okay, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's not, you're talking to yourself in your head. It's not about me. And like, are you done yet? I've walked away like, yeah, no, well, I got to go have patience. Excuse me.
Mm,
Well,
mm.
I'm talking to you, but has nothing to, I'm not going to argue with you, but I have patience, nothing to do with you.
Okay, okay.
But you have to pack your patience. You have to pack your compassion. Um, they say be a team player. Sometimes I don't like my teammates. But you do what you must. You do what you will. You do what you have to.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful,
I've
beautiful.
only had very few teammates that I really didn't get along with. But for the most part, it's been good.
Okay, so as a nurse, I know
Mhm.
you have options as to different areas you could work in.
Right.
Like, for example, my wife she has worked as a cardiac ICU nurse.
Oh, God bless her heart.
Well, yes, yes. So that's a high tense ICU.
Very stressful. Very
Yes,
stressful. Very stressful. Like I said, God bless her heart.
right.
No, there are
What I
places
was
there's places I won't go in nursing.
right. What
Cardiac is one of them. The burn unit is another one. No.
the burn unit. Okay, okay. What are some
Mm-mm.
of the different areas in nursing that you have worked that have led up to where you are now? Could you just walk me through that?
Sure. I did my first real nursing job. I well, I it was where I wanted to be anyway. It was OB/GYN.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and I worked for a great, fabulous, fabulous doctor,
Wow.
and taught me a lot. She's very strict. Like, when you hear her coming, you're like, oh my God, oh my God. But I learned a lot from her.
Yes,
Once you get to
yes.
know what she was doing, what her routine was, and what she expected,
Right.
then you did good.
Okay.
It was a lot of learning. Um, it was a lot of learning from her. I did that. I didn't like med surg, but I did some of that because one has to pay their dues. Um, basically. I did
Mm-hmm.
long-term care. Don't like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And somehow I end up in another place where I didn't want to be, was in pediatrics.
Wow. Wow.
Because I worked for an agency and a lot of their cases were pediatric. And
Okay.
I'm like, oh yeah, no, please don't put me with peds. Yeah, no. And but I end up having quite a few ped patients.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that bad, actually.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It wasn't that bad. But it's not really where I wanted to be. And somehow that led me to working in a private school, um, for being a school nurse.
Really? I didn't know
Yep,
that. What?
yep. It's I needed something where with more flexible hours.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and because by then I have two small ones.
Yes.
Um, so I needed flexibility, and I went to a private school because the money was better. So yeah, I ended up being doing peds in a Catholic school.
Okay. Understood. Understood.
Um, so I did that for a couple of years, and then I got called by a friend of mine. She was like, oh, such and such is looking for nurse. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm good where I'm at, And she's
Yes.
like, it's fine. She's like, 9 to 5, no weekends. She goes, no weekends, no holidays. And I'm like, what job is that? She goes, you're kind of pushing papers. And I'm like, oh, yeah, but I'm good with my job. I know my kids, the ones who I see on a regular every
Yes.
day. And the faculty, the principal were all great. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not really looking to leave. And she goes, please, 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 please. She just apply for the job. And then she's like, and the benefits are fabulous. So I was like, okay. So I applied for the job. And the no weekends worked for me. And the 9 to 5, it's not really 9 to 5, they lie.
Okay. Okay.
Because sometimes you end up, by the time you get home, it's like 7, 8 o'clock, depends on where in the state they send you. It's the
Right.
state.
Okay.
Okay. And you do see patients, but you don't really do much with them. You just you put eyes on them, so to speak. It's mostly paperwork.
Okay.
And so so yeah,
There's
that's kind of where
an administrative supervision type.
Yeah. Basically, it's called case management, basically.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and it was great because it's really flexible. Like if I have, like, now I work from home, thank God. But even before this whole pandemic happened, if I had to leave, I'm like, I work with 2 other nurses.
Yes.
My location, and we all get along. Like, listen, we all have kids. Like, listen, I gotta go. Okay, can you cover me? No problem.
Beautiful.
So it's
beautiful.
It's good.
Beautiful.
It works for me. Let's put it that way.
Beautiful. So looking back at your, even within, career-wise, professionally, you have touched quite a few different careers. From hotel management to dental, system and what have you. I know you're in the nursing field. I know you're actually working with the state more as a case manager than as a bedside nurse. You're pretty young. Do you see yourself transitioning again to another plateau, to another level?
Well, so I'm working on getting back to OB, and
full circle.
Because I do want, after my experience with Nurse Maxine and I went to OB, that's where I wanted to go. My plan, I plan God laugh constantly. My plan was to, do my time in OB and go and, eventually be a midwife.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get back there.
Okay, so that's still on the table.
That's kind of what I'm in the middle of working on.
Okay. So you have shared a ton load of stuff to us. And one of the things that I can tell you is you have a wealth of experience. Even as I didn't mention working in the school system, that in itself is another, because you have to deal with all the different,
the parents.
all that stuff. So if you were to give advice to, say, students in adversities or any school whatsoever, regarding a career in nursing, or even as a dental hygienist, or even within hotel management or whatever, because Jamaica is big on tourism. Right. What are some of the lessons that you learned as you experience these careers? What are some of the things that you would try to point them towards that will help them to succeed in any of the 3 major areas that you have been in? What would you tell them? Think in terms of how you were as a student, and think in terms of what you had to do as an adult. What would you say to a kid?
My advice would be flexible.
Okay.
Be flexible, because we all make plans and we all want what we want. And who I was at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, I wasn't that at 30 or 35.
Got
You
you.
know, so like you might, and life happens, you know,
Yes.
life happens to everybody, you
Mm.
know, being able to be flexible and be able to pivot and
Yes.
take what you learn from each situation or each job, career, whatever. Take that. You most things can be marketed if you really look at it
Okay.
and goes as experience into something else.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Understood.
saying?
Understood.
Because
Yes.
I mean, all of those three jobs, always customer service. You're
Mm.
constantly dealing with the public, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
whether it's nurses, doctors, guests at the hotel, cranky patients,
Mm.
cranky guests at a hotel, whatever. You have to learn to pivot. You have to learn to maneuver. Um, you know, don't be stuck on one thing. Do what's best for you and your situation, you know. Um, but do what's good for you. Do what you feel. Do what's in your heart. Um,
Yeah.
it, listen, you don't know where one thing's going to lead you into something else, and I'm a prime example of that.
Yes. I'm
You
gonna I'm
know,
gonna ask you a question because you have been very kind and you have been very open in what you've shared. And somebody listening to you could easily assume
hmm
incorrectly
hmm
that you have had a peachy journey. Yeah.
why? Because listen, nothing is. Listen, this is life.
Yes.
Nothing is peachy. I learned that at a very young age.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I listen. I grew up. Anybody who knows me knew I grew up in Lucy. Um, I left when I was 12. Um, I was kind of the baby
Mm.
um, in my family for a long time. I was, hate to say, spoiled a little bit. Um, you know, and my world revolved around, I lived in a bubble. That's how I put it.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I kind of lived in a bubble. Um, the person holding that bubble was my father.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
when, you know, when I was 15, he was murdered, and people who know knows, or whatever. So at 15, you had to adjust.
Mercy.
You
Mercy.
know, you go from, you know, everything is perfect for me,
Yes.
and uh,
Yes.
to your, not that my mother wasn't a rock, but the person who I looked up to the most
Yes.
was
Yes.
taken, you
Yeah.
know, um, you at that age to adjust to that, because I grew up with my dad because my mom
Yes.
had left Jamaica a long time.
Yes.
Um, so it was always my dad, you know, my dad, my uncle Morgan, my grandmother, my aunts, or whatever. But that was a blow to me
Mm. Mm.
at that age.
That was huge.
Um,
That was huge.
mhm,
That was
that was a
actually
big blow to
huge.
me.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
you know, I had to adjust. My mother had to adjust.
Yes. Yes.
It's funny. I always tell people. I said, I said my father. When I came here, like I said, I was 12. He died when I was 15. I said, for 3 years while I was here and he was alive, I said he managed my life from Jamaica. Yeah, it's like don't do anything wrong, don't get in trouble because he's going to know. He's going to know. He's
Wow.
going to find out, and
Wow.
he's just one of those people you can't lie to because if you lie, he's just gonna know. And yeah, no, so like it's my mom. Even my mom will tell you, like, yeah. I remember because he never wanted me to pierce my ears, and I remember I
Mm.
came. I came when I came the November for Christmas. She goes, "You want to pierce your ears?" I'm like, "No! Oh my God, Daddy's gonna kill me!" You know. And she was like, "He's not here." Yeah, but he's gonna know. It was just that was how it was,
Yeah.
and like I don't know, back in those days, like Jamaica, like you making a phone call to here is a lot of money. My dad called 3 times a week, every
Wow.
week.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. and sometimes on weekends.
Wow.
But you had to, he needs to know what was going on in school. What's your homework? What you're doing? Da 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 da. Who are your friends? I'm talking to your mother. You know, the whole nine. So like the same way he managed my life back home, he managed my life here. You know, so I was used to that. And like I said, when he passed, it was a big blow. It was an adjustment.
Yes.
So I've learned at a young age how to be flexible and how to adjust and how to maneuver.
I thank you for sharing that with us. And I deliberately did not go there, but you did. And I wanted you to share, because some people look at you and just think that you had everything on a platter, not knowing that you had to climb hurdles, because that alone would be a major reason for a young person to give up.
Oh no, there was, oh God, no, there was.
I'm just saying to you, in the culture that we live,
right,
there are people always looking for an excuse to jump.
Right.
You did not jump, even though you could have, and even if you did, somebody would understand if they knew the relationship you had. But despite that major blow that you experienced as a teenager, you're a survivor. You're a success. And I speak all the time that success is not measured by what you accomplish, but what you had to overcome to accomplish it. Exactly. For me, I'm saying to you, I lift my hat to you. I commend you. I congratulate you for the strength you have. And especially this is the Women's Celebration this month of March. I celebrate you, and we on the Brosis platform celebrate you because you are a victor, you are a champion, and you're an overcomer. And you don't walk around with your head down, you walk with your head up. And that's a major testimony as to who you are. May I ask you, your children, well, your two are small, but your daughter, your firstborn, how is she relative to you in terms of personality?
She's like her mother.
Okay, well, she's all right, and she's gonna be fine. She's gonna be all right. She's gonna be all right.
I wanted her to stay close to home to go to school, and she picked Vermont of all places, and she went to school. She's good. She stayed in Vermont.
Well, that's payback to you, because remember your mom wanted to do stuff, and nah.
Exactly. It always comes back to us. You know, no, she is fine. She works for the state of Vermont. She loves it there. I'm proud of her.
Excellent.
We have a very good relationship. We speak sometimes 3 times a day.
Beautiful.
I'm proud of her. She's doing very well.
Excellent.
You know, and going back, you know, like people giving up. That's not how I was raised. Yes. I mean, I look at it like this. I had my mom and I had my aunts and had my uncles or whatever, but it was, even though he's not here,
yes,
I couldn't do anything that would embarrass him.
Beautiful.
That, you know, between him and my grandmother, those two, he's like, no, you know, I'm not perfect, but I'm not going to do anything that I can't hold my head up, you know, for. So.
Well, I told you personally, but I'll say it to you on this platform that I know your dad personally. I actually ate at his table multiple times. And I know the man you speak about, who is your dad. He is an amazing, amazing man. And he stood tall, and he was tall.
Yes, I'm not that lucky. I didn't get that gene at all.
He walked he had a posture of success. He was not a wimp. He was not somebody. He was a strong Black man, and much respect. I was welcomed in his home, and I honored that. I appreciated that. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be a part of this conversation with you. And I shared that as we spoke last week. But Honestly, I'm so delighted, so delighted. You have done very well. And knowing your dad, who is somebody of excellence, he will be extremely proud of what you have accomplished. Extremely
Thank
proud.
you.
On behalf of the Rusty's Brosis Foundation, I just want to say to you that we salute you. We appreciate you giving us this time. And if at any point in time you have any suggestions as to what you think we could do to help take Rusty's to another level, we are open to suggestions and ideas because we are a dynamic group. And at the end of the day, we're trying to do something to lift Rusty's to where it has been and even higher, if possible.
Yes.
We salute you as someone who has done well for Rusty's and for yourself and for your family. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you for having me.
We'll have a chance to see you again, okay?
Yes,
Thanks once
definitely.
again. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.